question du jour. That sounds good. Forget. Today we're talking about another railroad game in that series of rail games that I've been doing lately. I haven't been doing them, I've been reviewing them lately. We started with Southern Rails and then Trans-Siberian Railroads, and then now we're looking at Iberian Railroads. Dang it, it's one of those, but the point being, it doesn't matter if it's ways or roads. We're talking about this train system of games that is, it takes elements of big, massive, like 5-6 hour games and distills them down, and each one takes a buffet style, a little bit of, as Dusty Rhodes would say, a little bit of something for everybody, Pumpkinhead, and distills it into here, if you will. The American Dream, greatest at the mic. Anyway, distills it into different games. So Southern Rails focused on this area. Trans-Siberian Rails focused on, buying stocks, and this one doesn't do stocks at all. This one features a loan with interest system, but also an income system. So these are an interesting series of games that Rio Grande is releasing. So today we're looking at Iberian Railways. Let's take a look at how it plays, what it does, and if you are into rail games, if this one's one for you. If you're not into railways games, if this one's one for you. So this is Iberian Railway set up for 5 people. Now what's going to happen is you're building railroads all across the Iberian Peninsula. You've got Spain and Portugal here. Essentially, it's a pretty quick train style game. Now it does some things different than the other Rio Grande series of games, but it does have a couple things in common with Southern Rails. You are getting income based on how far you have attached. Now the difference is you're not getting income for every space, you're getting income for every, let's get a couple of the same color out here. You're getting income for every time you connect to an urban city or what do they call it? Urban city? Something like that. Anyway, the point is anything like this is a connection that matters now. You can't actually just connect to nothing. You have to connect to these urban centers, which is why these are spaced so far apart as you get further down, because it gets harder to build to them, because currently you can only build 3 rails per turn until this moves up, and this moves up once someone has built on a turn, which basically means it's going to continue to move up pretty quick. Never moves past 8, so you got to plan accordingly. Now on your turn you're going to select one of the 4 actions. Everybody starts on expand because, kind of like sides, you can't pick the same action twice. So we're going to start our railway right here with green. Let's do it with red just for the sake of saying. We're going to build out of Madrid. Now you can't put a space in Madrid, and each of these can only have 1 hex in them. The ones around, they can only have 1 railway in them outside of Madrid here. Every other space can have 2 at max. There's an additional cost, and all of that is listed on this handy dandy card here for building costs, income reminders, all this sort of stuff. Great reference card. All that's kept track of over there. There's paper money, but forget it. I don't even want to see it anymore at this point. We use poker chips. Heck, I would love to see a track. I just want to see in these kind of games where you're just having to cash out so much, odd amounts of money and stuff. Let's just do a track where you have 1 to 50, and then you put 2 cubes on it if you want to go to 100, just 300. What it doesn't matter. The point is you have a track now, and you can track how much money you have by just moving it down the track. Anyway, that's me personally. It would make these a lot quicker and be quicker than poker chips, even because you're not making change. You're just going. Anyway, point. Contention. So we're going to build out of Madrid to Toledo, not Ohio. It's a different place. That's what it was named for. Anyway, you're going to build here. When you connect to Madrid, your income goes to 6. Any other city, so Toledo is a yellow town here, it's going to go up by 2. So we're actually at 8 now currently for our income. That means that when we do the income phase, as you see on the handy dandy card here, we're going to get that much money. So we're going to get $8. Now, if you ever need to build, because track costs 3 for 1, 7 for 2, 3 is 12, it kind of incrementally gets more and more expensive. Plus there's additional costs for certain things in the hex. How do I pay for that? How do I get more money? Well, that brings the most interesting wrinkle of this game, the interest and loans track. What happens is you can take a $5 loan, and when you do, you gain $5. So let's just say we take a loan, boom, there's $5. That's how much it is. Now, however, when we take a loan, because of interest, we're not paying back $5, we're paying back $6. Every single round, though, even if you don't pay your loans, you have to pay interest and pay off loans. So you can pay interest based on the position of the income track. Let's just say I had 4 loans. Well, then I now owe $4 in interest every single turn. Notice it shifts here. The matrix changes, and the math starts to move up a little bit as it goes here. It gets more expensive the more you have, hence interest. It's great. It actually teaches something. I love it. I don't love interest. I love teaching stuff. But anyway, Point being, that's what you do then. You can then pay off a single loan by paying $6 for it. So that's how much it is to pay off a loan, and that's what that is right there for that. Check for end of game. End of game happens when someone's run out of colors of cubes all over the board. So you're going to stretch out. The other option is, okay, well, how do I get more money? What do I do? So these are business interests. There are 16 of them, I believe. They are if you connect to one of these cities. So San Sebastian here, Granada there, probably pronouncing those wrong. If you connect to one of these, you gain that money when you hit it. It also shows you where it's at. So it's a little bit like Ticket to Ride in that sense of on your turn, you could purchase that. That would be your action. So I'm going to purchase one of these cards here. That's what purchase means. So I would purchase the business interest. Basically, it just means you take it. You don't necessarily pay for a business interest, but you take one of these, then you move to that place, and once you've connected to it, you immediately score it. If you ever can't score it, you turn it face down, and you don't get to score, but you instantly gain that extra income. So that would be 11 now if we scored that. You'll play until someone runs out of those things, and then the scoring's a little wonky. No, it's not your money. No, it's not your income. It's not your loans. It's not the amount of spaces. It's all based on majorities. I wanted to show you this because it threw me when we first started. It's not based on, hey, you just get points per. It's you have to have, for the person with the most income's a point. Person with the most cash minus unpaid loans is $20 a pop, gets a victory point. Excuse me, this one's 2 victory points. The longest run, so the person who has the longest track, the most towns connected, that'd be yellow, then purple, then red, and then the most business interest, that could be completed or not. Basically, the person who spent their turns getting those gets a point. The person with the most points wins the game. Now, you can have ties. Ties are friendly. You can also tie yourself on a couple of these, but I wanted to look at this just to make sure I was right on this one. I thought it earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points is the maximum amount of points, I'm pretty sure, in this game that you could have, which is pretty wild to think that the game comes down to such a tight scoring. You have these big numbers over here that can kind of come down to... So that's how you play Iberian Rails. It's got an interesting several wrinkles, especially with the interest in loans. And if you've noticed the Rio Grande games, both from the ones I've done lately with the Trans-Iberian Rails, Southern Rails, this one, and I think I did one more. The point is that these games have some wrinkles to them that all make them different, but they're all in this kind of series where it almost feels like they're starting their own railway series here, kind of like an 18XX, although not an 18XX, but a different style of train game series. They do similar things, but they all have certain differences. So this one is Iberian Rails. So that is Iberian Rail. So that's this one. Now here's the deal. People are always looking for that next step game. I will say ahead of time. Now again, this one's not as pretty as Ticket to Ride, obviously. In fact, if you heard my comments in the design portion, I would rather get rid of the paper money completely. Let's just forget about that and stop going back to that. I would rather just have a track, honestly, with games like this where you're spending money every single round. It's not like you're hoarding it, and no, you're spending it every round. The goal is to get it. So a track would be better just to move up. You know, okay, I've got $52. I've got 49 now. Now I've got 36. It's just easier and faster to instantly do it. And honestly, that's one of the things. If a game slows down because of counting paper money, that's not a design factor of the game that causes it to slow down. That's an actual physical, tangible thing that can be eliminated, therefore strengthening the power of the game. So that's my 2 cents on that. The game, it looks like the other ones. Again, we're not writing home about amazing art style. They are what they are. They look like train games. They look like nicer 18XX games. Like they kind of look like that 18 Chesapeake feel that I really enjoy. So there is that. But if you're not into train games and you're trying to show this off to people, they may look at it and go, well, where's the cutesy art like Ticket to Ride? I get that. But I will say, though, this one feels like that next step you could take after playing Ticket to Ride if people really enjoyed it, because you're building the trains out, you're building the routes. There's money involved now. I really like the loan interest system. I think it's interesting to play around with interest as opposed to, oh, well, you took too many loans, you lose the game. I think it's cool because it really shows how that would compound and get more and more, and you can drive yourself deeper into debt because of the interest that you're not even thinking about. So that is the new wrinkle of this game that the other ones don't have. So I like each one of these has an interesting wrinkle. And so I like that about this one a lot. Now, is it my favorite of the 3 that I've done for this series? I don't know. I think Trans-Siberian is still going to be my favorite of those, but this one is good for a certain audience. This could be the intro next level game that gets people really talking about these train games and gets people interested in playing because the mechanics are fun and the playtime is short. Again, get rid of that paper money and it'll be even faster and you can knock this out in 45 minutes. I like the action selection system. I think it's cool that there's just a straight up, this turn I'm going to do this, this turn I'm going to do this, this turn I'm going to do this. I like forced action selection where you cannot take the same one twice. I think that's a fun thing to add to this, and I think it really adds to it in this game. So, enough said. I enjoy this one. Is it going to move the needle if you're not a fan of the other 2? Absolutely not. Is it going to move the needle if you don't like train games? Absolutely not. If you do like train games, though, or if you moderately like train games, I really think this one is a fun one because it doesn't lean too heavy into the things that can bore people down into the 18XX style. But it feels familiar enough to games like Ticket to Ride where you go, oh yeah, I've seen this, I've done this, or you could slip this in to get people. If you're trying to get them to 18 Chesapeake, you take this route, and then you go Trans-Siberian, and then you're at 18 Chesapeake. So, I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we'll see you. See you at Gen Con, in fact.